Here's how to register Democrats in Florida.
In Florida, you can register Democrats either digitally or with a paper form. Since most volunteers prefer using paper forms, we'll start with that. But first, an important note. In order to register voters in Florida, you must do it under the umbrella of an organization that has filed with the Secretary of State as a 3PVRO, a third-party voter registration organization. Field Team 6 has done this, so no worries. What this means for you is that after you fill out any voter registration form, always make sure to write down Field Team 6's 3PVRO number and the date on the back of the form along the top margin. When you sign up to lead your first voter drive, email our Florida training group and they'll give you our 3PVRO number. Find their email on our website, fieldteam6.org, under Resources, in the Florida Voter Drive in a Box. If you're not the one leading the drive, you can get that number from your voter drive leader. But only write that number on the form after you've filled it out, never before. It's a legal technicality we must follow. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of filling out the form in a moment, but first, 4 pro tips. Pro tip 1, always use a black or a blue pen. Pro tip 2, in Florida, there is one form to register to vote and a separate form to request vote by mail. You should have both forms with you. The normal registration form is good for the entire state, but the vote by mail request forms varies by county. You can pick up copies of both from your county supervisor of elections, or if you have a printer, with the normal registration form, you can print out as many copies as you like. Now, when it comes to the vote by mail request form, only some counties let you print out copies yourself. Check your county supervisor of elections website for details. Pro tip 3. If a voter tells you they're already registered, always ask if you can register them to vote by mail. It's super convenient and dramatically boosts voting rights. Let them know in Florida, these vote by mail requests have a limited shelf life. They expire at the end of the next even-numbered calendar year, so a request made now will only be good until the end of 2022. That also means that request you sent in before the 2020 election? You got it. It's expired and needs to be renewed. Get to it. Pro tip 4. Wear a liberal-looking t-shirt, hat, and/or pin. This provides a Republican-repelling force field that ensures we register the people we need most. Now, on to the form. We always recommend you fill out the form for the voter, since you will be faster and more legible and won't miss anything you need to fill in. Always start by asking the first question on the form. Are you a citizen? You must be a citizen to register, and if you're not, trying to register can actually derail the whole naturalization process, so it's worth making sure up front. Then ask, will you be at least 18 years old by Election Day? Election Day in this case is the November 8th, 2022 midterm elections. If they're 16 or 17, that's also great. You can pre-register them, which means that as soon as they turn 18, they'll automatically be registered to vote. Now, go back to the top and check off the reason they're registering, whether it's a new registration, an update, or just to get a new voter information card. Continue with the next question. Affirm they're not a convicted felon or that their right to vote has been restored. If they have been convicted of a felony and it is not for murder or a felony sexual offense, ask if they've done their time and paid their fines. Time includes parole and probation. Fines include fees and restitution. If yes, re-register them. If they are unsure of their status, they can get help at the incredible Florida Rights Restoration Coalition here. Now, back to the form. Make sure they have not been judged mentally incapacitated by a court with respect to voting. Put down their date of birth, get their Florida driver's license or state ID. If they don't have that, get the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. If they have never been issued either, check this box. If they have a license or Social Security number but can't remember that number, continue filling out the form. Their county supervisor of elections should reach out for that information. Ask for their last name, first name, middle name, and any suffix like junior or senior. Get the address where they physically live. This can be a women's shelter or a homeless shelter. Always ask if there's an apartment number, then city, county, and zip. Ask whether that's where they get their mail. If yes, skip mailing address. If previously registered, enter previous name and/or address. But if you're in a hurry, this is not mandatory, so skip it. Same with former name, gender, and state or country of birth. Phone number and email are optional, but treat them like they're not. The registrar may need these to resolve any problems. It also allows Get Out the Vote efforts to contact them later. If they'd like to be emailed sample ballots, check that box. Now, the most important question of all. What is your political party affiliation? Hopefully, we've ID'd the person as a Democrat already. We've said, "Can I register you to vote as a Democrat today?" or something similar. We've worn a liberal-looking hat, pin, and/or shirt. We might even have a "We Registered Democrats" sticker on our clipboards. But often, we ask their party preference and get a blank stare. At this point, we are not legally allowed to coerce anyone, nor would we want to. But we are allowed to tell them facts, and this is a perfect opportunity to educate them on what Democrats stand for. Tell them the Democratic Party is the one major party fighting Trumpism and the Republicans. Tell them President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are the heads of the Democratic Party, and Trump was the head of the Republican Party. Tell them Democrats are the only party fighting for civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and immigrant rights. Democrats sent out $1,400 relief checks, and they're ending COVID and bringing back good jobs. Democrats are working to expand health care, protect the environment, and make college more affordable. Many people hear all these good ideas and say, Democrat. Thank them from the bottom of your heart, and if you're an extrovert, sing, dance, or cheer. If they say independent or green, let them know that since Florida is a closed primary state, if they'd like to vote in the primary, they'd have to be registered as a Democrat. If that's still their choice, then check no party affiliation for independent, or fill out green under minor party, and continue. If despite our best efforts they choose Republican or Libertarian, stay respectful and positive and physically hand them the form. Let them know they just have to sign it, date it, and mail it to the county supervisor of elections. Giving them the form fulfills our legal obligation. We are not legally obligated to fill it out for them. Our time is precious, and we need to spend it registering Democrats. Of course, if they say anything other than Republican or Libertarian, we complete the process and hang on to the form ourselves. And now, the mandatory strange disclaimer. At this point, by law, every volunteer must give a strange verbal disclaimer to every voter. We recommend saying something like, "Now, I legally have to say some things that Republicans have forced us to say to make it harder to register voters. Here they are." Then read these out loud. Your form might not be turned in within the next 14 days or before the registration deadline. You may choose to submit the application directly yourself. You can register to vote online at www.registertovoteflorida.gov. You can confirm your form was submitted by calling the supervisor of elections in the county where you're registering to vote. When you're done, move right along. But if the voter needs assurance, let them know we have a perfect record of turning in every single form we've ever received before the deadline. You can find a printable version of the disclaimer right on our website, fieldteam6.org under Resources in our Florida Voter Drive in a Box. Print out one for every clipboard. Almost done. The rest of the form is optional information, and you can skip it. Now, hand them the clipboard so they can check it all for accuracy. Then, have them sign and date it. Keep the form yourself. You or your group leader will mail it to the Secretary of State. Now that you've registered them, give them a sticker in return for saving the world. Ask if they'd like to sign up to vote by mail. It's super convenient, and in some counties, we can fill out that form for them right now and mail it in together. Make sure to confirm this with your county supervisor of elections. Let them know they'll receive a voter registration card within about 2 weeks, and if they don't, they should contact their county supervisor of elections. If they're not filling out an absentee ballot request right now, tell them as soon as they get their voter information card in the mail, please go to voterizer.org and sign up to vote by mail online. Ask if we can send them election reminders. If so, add their email and name to your sign-up sheet. And ask if they'd like to volunteer and help us register Democrats. Now, educate them. Tell them we've got to elect Democrats to the Senate and House in the November 8th, 2022 midterms to save our democracy, and Florida could decide it all. Check your Florida brief in the Florida Voter Drive in a Box for the names of the Republicans we're fighting and Democrats we're defending. And say those Democrat names as much as possible. Name recognition is half the battle. Final important note. After they've gone, take their completed form, turn it over, and write the Field Team 6 3PVRO number in the top margin along with the date. Every form we submit must have this number on it. Now, put that form at the back of your clipboard and guard it with your life. We are not legally allowed to let someone walk away with a form that has our 3PVRO number written on it, so this is something we take very seriously. Within 24 hours of your voter drive, mail in all forms to the Department of State here. Or if it's getting close to a voter registration deadline, we recommend sorting the forms by county and mailing them to the supervisor of elections for those particular counties to make extra sure they get there on time. Find those addresses on the form itself. And that's it. Great job! If you plan on only using the paper form, you're done. On the other hand, if you want to learn how to register Democrats digitally, stick around for Act 2, which starts now. If you prefer to register Democrats with your smartphone or tablet, go to voterizer.org/field. That's our very own partisan voter registration site, designed to be the fastest way to register a Democrat. Sign up or log in to Voterizer. This allows you to register multiple people. Once you're in, pick Florida as your state. Now, you're ready to go into the field and find someone who wants to register. When you find that wonderful person, ask them, do you have a Florida driver's license or state ID card, and do you know the last 4 digits of your Social Security number? If they do, they can register online. If not, they'll have to use a paper form. If they say they're already registered, tell them that's great. Then ask, can I sign you up to vote by mail? It's super convenient. Voting by mail dramatically increases voting rates. In Florida, signing up for it is a 2-step dance online. First you register, and once your registration has been processed, then you can sign up to vote by mail. Unfortunately, you can't do both at the same time. We'll show you how it's done later. But first, back to registering a voter. Always offer to fill in the information for them. You'll be faster than them because, well, you're on a mission. Reassure them that they'll get the chance to confirm all their information before it's submitted. Of course, if they insist on using their own phone, well, that's fine. Offer to walk them through it right now so it gets done. It only takes a few minutes, and if we leave it up to them, Most likely, they will not finish the process. It's just human nature. Ask them what county they live in and select it. If they'd like to do this in Spanish, click Español, then click Get Started. Now click Register to Vote. This takes you to the state of Florida's voter registration site. And now it's just a matter of filling in the information.
Yes!
Click Register or Update. Now scroll down and follow the prompts. Make sure they're a citizen, and though there is no box for this, confirm that they will be 18 or older by the November 8th, 2022 election. If they're 16 or 17, that's fine. They'll be pre-registered. Answer the question about convicted felons, noting that if they've done their time and paid their fines, they can re-register. Time includes parole and probation, and fines include restitution. Confirm they have not been judged mentally incapacitated. Mark the correct reason they're registering. Get their Florida driver's license or state ID card. And by the way, if you see this little red asterisk next to the field, it's required information. Now, enter the date the ID was issued. You can find that right on their license. Put down the last 4 numbers of their Social Security number. Get their last name, first name, middle name, and any suffix like junior or senior, exactly as it appears on their driver's license or state ID. Get their date of birth. Then confirm they're not a robot. Hey, better safe than sorry. Now, hit Continue. Next is party preference. As before on the paper form, we are not legally allowed to coerce anybody here, nor would we want to, but please do give them some super useful facts about the Democratic Party. And let them know if they'd like to vote in the Democratic primary to choose our next Democratic candidates, they'd have to be registered as a Democrat. Note, unlike with the paper forms, if someone says Republican or Libertarian at this point, we are obliged to finish the process, which makes it even more important to wear a liberal-looking shirt, hat, and/or pin, and to ask a good ID question up front. Next, enter their physical address, making sure to ask about any apartment number. Former name and address is optional, so skip them. Gender and race are optional too, so skip them as well. But please make sure to get their phone and email. But where do you put the email address? Ask if they'd like to be emailed a sample ballot at election time, and when you click Email Me Sample Ballots, you'll have the opportunity to enter their email. Skip the rest on this page and click Continue. Now, show the person your phone and have them make sure all the information you entered is accurate. If everything looks good, ask them to click the button under Oath, and then click the Submit button themselves. Now, politely take your phone back. When you see this page, it means you have successfully registered someone in Florida. Give the voter their voter registration application reference number if they like, or just let them take a picture of your screen with their phone. Let them know their registration will be processed in the next 1 to 2 business days, and they'll receive a new voter information card in the mail. If they don't within the next 2 weeks, they should contact their county supervisor of elections. Now, close the Secretary of State's page, which should take you back to Voterizer. Scroll down and quickly ask if we can send them an election reminder, letting them know when and where to vote. If yes, enter their name and email. Ask if they'd like to volunteer with us. There's lots of ways they can help. Now, thank them for being a voter and give them 1 to 3 sentences of basic education if you can. Let them know that the November 8th, 2022 midterms could be our last chance to save our democracy, and Florida could decide it all. So please, vote for Democrats up and down the ballot to save the Senate and the House, and get rid of the COVID-bungling Republican governor, Ron DeSantis. Check your Florida brief in the Florida Voter Drive in a Box for the names of the Republicans we're fighting and Democrats we're defending. And say those Democrat names as much as possible. Name recognition is half the battle. After they've gone, one last step. On Voterizer, under How to Go, be sure to check the I Registered to Vote or I Registered to Vote by Mail button and hit Submit so we at Field Team 6 know that a person was registered. Then scroll down and click the Start Again button, and you're back in business. Now here's what to do if the person you speak to is already registered and interested in signing up to vote by mail. After you pick your state and pick your county, hit Get Started. Then click Register to Vote by Mail. This takes you to the county's Vote by Mail page. Now the process varies by county, but it'll always be pretty similar. Just follow the prompts, make sure your voter clicks the Submit button, and you're done. Good work! Congratulations! You just added another Florida Democrat to the voter rolls, bringing us one step closer to victory. This is how we win. Got questions?
Find all the materials you need at our Voter Drive in a Box link at fieldteam6.org. Look under Resources.